Hey, Princess India here. I just wanted to share a quick little bit of inspo with you. So, Spirit led me to start decluttering my life. I utilized the Kamari method and I started with my closet because the whole little process starts with clothes. And I wanted to share the finished product with you guys. Literally, my closet has never looked like this, like in life. Like, I'm literally not kidding. But that also inspired me to declutter the rest of my life. And as I cleaned, I got so many spiritual epiphanies. It started a whole little purge. I cried and things, a lot of releasing going on, but I feel so much lighter. And I just wanted to inspire you guys to take that into consideration as we're going into the retrograde. It's a great time to clear out your life, get a jump start on your spring cleaning, and it's also an explanation for why you're only going to see my hands this month, because the rest of my house is a total mess. I love you. On to your March reading.
Energy. Hello, Scorpio. Did you miss me? My bad. I know I was supposed to do you guys last night. Oh, wow. That, awkward. Yeah, so I was supposed to complete your reading last night. But, after I did Capricorn, I was just completely, like, kaput. But I am here and I'm ready, okay? So for March, we're doing things slightly different if in the event you have not cross-watched. So I have created a spread for us to look at some things that'll be helpful to you going through the Mercury retrograde as well as for the month of March. We have 3 different areas that we're going to look at. Our central focus is going to be based on the main source of unhappiness or discontent for the month. So pretty much what the root of that issue is. Then we're looking at the main challenge to overcome in reference to the root issue. And of course, we know 1 + 1 = 2, meaning it has nothing to do with mathematics, just simply meaning this is going to be a valuable lesson, right? We're also looking at these 3 areas, which is your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, and your spiritual well-being. We're looking at what you need to release and how to do it. And lastly, we're looking at what it is you're making room for. So, post-retrograde, if you want to go as far as, retro shade and all that good stuff, because I think that lasts into April, if I'm not mistaken. But Mercury actually goes direct in March. I can't remember what day at the moment, but this is what you're going to be calling in. So this is more or less like, a battle plan, so to speak. So our main source of discontent or unhappiness for the month of March for Scorpio is the 10 of Wands in reverse. And I'm feeling this as not personal responsibility. What is the word for that? It's when you're taking on too much that you don't need to be taking on. It's like false responsibility, I would assume. So it's more or less juggling a lot of things, putting a lot of weight on your shoulders that doesn't necessarily need to be there, right? Now, I don't want to go as far as saying like savior complex, you know what I mean? But it's this duty-driven way of showing up in life and more or less relating to people. It's like a conditioning, but to not get too deep into it, it's more or less like, because it's subconscious, but it's kind of like the way that you relate to people is in being of service or being in service to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like that's a way that one would garner love. So with this being in your main source of discontent, that's telling me this. Like, you're overburdened, but it's feeling like you have to be. Like, there is no other way to be, because it's kind of, I say false responsibilities in the sense of like, oh my gosh, like, I have to do this. I have to go to, volunteer at the shelter. And then, at church, they need this and I got to do this. And these are all things you really don't have to do. It's just kind of overextending yourself and spreading yourself thin because it's a belief that you're supposed to play this particular role, right? But the sense that I'm getting is it's causing unhappiness because it's draining you, which has been a theme that we've been seeing a great deal this month, is Spirit just kind of making very clear in what ways we're self-compromising. And I feel like with this, it's being duty-driven and feeling like it's the right thing to do, but it's not right for you, right? Now, the main challenge to overcome is the Tower. Yes, this is most certainly like a belief system. And belief system in the sense like, how do I want to say that? And I mentioned this, and you may want to go back and watch this. This was in January, and it was a channeled message that I had. It has alchemy in it. I can't remember what the title of it is. It's like something in alchemy. And it's talking about like the spiritual transformation that's going on based on this dream that I had. And it was like something alchemy and roaches or something like that. But it was talking about spiritual roaches. And I talked about this a tad bit at the end of February readings as well. And I think in some of the weeklies where I described it like what Spirit was showing me, it was almost like an attachment. You know what I mean? Like if you would, and I'm saying this in a spiritual sense, but to give you a more 3D depiction of what I was seeing, it's like if you would think about a leech, right? And how a leech like attaches to your skin, you know, and sucks your blood. It's kind of like, you know, you're not cognizant of who and what you are when you're like a newborn baby, right? So it's almost like a leech attaching to you as a newborn baby, growing up into an adult, and assuming that this is a part of you, because as far as back as you can remember, it's always been there. So there's never a thought, because no one's ever said anything to you. No one's ever said, hey, dude, you got a leech on your arm. You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone just kind of like never said anything about it. So you assume like this is just me. Like the way that my arm is set up. I just have this big, giant, slimy little fat black thing just chilling here, you know? And thinking it's a part of you. And that's how I'm feeling about like this false responsibility. You know what I mean? It's kind of like something that you picked up as a child. And I don't want to say coping mechanism, because and it may be a coping mechanism. I mean, it could be, but it's like how I'm seeing it is like a personality trait that's really not your personality trait, because it's kind of borderlining on that codependency type of thing. Now, I say all of that because the challenge to overcome is the Tower, right? So this to me is saying that I may be one. I highly doubt that I'm the first. I mean, I could be, but I feel like you listening to this is going to be one of many confirmations you have already gotten or will continue to get throughout the course of this month, where you're going to find people who don't know each other, right, are saying the same thing to you over and over again. Like, why do you do that? Or like, why do you feel like you have to do that? Like, you're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a very consistent message, and every time someone says it to you, it's going to hit you straight to your heart, meaning you resonate with it, but it causes like a little cognitive dissonance, because in your mind the leech is a part of you. But now people are starting to point out, like, you know, have you ever gotten that leech looked at? Like, you ever try to like pull it off? Like, you ever? And you're looking like, what are you even talking about? Like, I don't have a leech on my hand. What are you talking about? Like, that's just the way that my hand is. That's just me, right? So that's kind of the narrative. But the thing is to recognize, like what Spirit's pointing out for me, is to recognize that shock feeling that you feel. But it's like your mind is instantly going to jump to the defensive, saying that's not who I am. I don't see where that even applies to me. I don't do that. I'm not that type of person. That's kind of the feeling that not the feeling, but that's the message your mind is going to be sending, combating that truth. But the key thing is, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know. I honestly know no one flushes red to the point where their entire body turns red. But if you look at this symbolically, like when, you know, because of course with her, she's gotten a phone call that's very shocking, right? That kind of causes her world to stop. And this to me is an illustration of that feeling that we get when, you know, we listen to a reading that resonates, or, you know, someone says something that just hits you to your soul, and it's kind of like that feeling that spreads all over your body and you get all tingly and numbed out. It's like, it's going to be a feeling similar to this. So the challenge to overcome this month and throughout the retrograde is going to be recognizing this proverbial tower that's been built, this false belief, defense mechanism, whatever word you want to use for it, and allowing that to crumble, realizing that the leech is not a part of you. It's a parasite. Feel me? So anywho, looking at your physical well-being and what to release to help with your physical well-being, we have the Knight of Chalices. So the thing that you want to release for your physical well-being, this very well could be an immature water sign person, like a Rico Suave kind of dude, somebody who, you know, they sweep you off your feet. And as I always say, you know, when someone sweeps you off your feet, you're no longer grounded, right? So kind of someone who comes in with the sweet nothings but never has any follow through. You know what I'm saying? There's never anything tangible that comes of it, right? Or it could be a male who's very dreamy. And I just heard Pisces, which is ironic, but it's a guy, you know, maybe in his 20s, 30s, something around that range. But he's a very dreamy person, like kind of like a pipe dreamer, right? So it's someone who, they talk really big, they promise a lot of things, but they don't ever really come through. You know what I mean? Another way that we can look at this is less dreaming, more doing. So if you're more or less aligning with this, and you can because you're a water sign, if you're in a space to where you're, you know, daydreaming about a business and thinking about, you know, all of these high idealistic things that could be done, but you're not actually doing anything, and meaning that in like a very practical kind of way, you know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to wasting energy with false responsibilities, more or less aligning with real responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of, if you have a dream, it's like creating tangible action steps and doing the things necessary, creating a budget, you know, cleaning up your credit, like whatever the case may be. And to, you know, step out of this emotional dream space and actually start making things happen, right? Now, how to do that? We have the King of Swords in reverse. Now, the thing that this to me aligns with this, when you look at the King of Swords in upright, that's the person who's like, you know, CEO, the shot caller, the trusted advisor, the great decision maker. It's like, these are all skills in the upright that, you know, because she's like teaching and stuff like that, putting everybody on game. And I feel like it's been a lot of that. It's been a lot of you being in this role and overburdening yourself, right? So you're taking on a lot, you're helping people a lot, but this is still you though. So it's almost like being that right-hand man or trusted advisor, and you're helping everyone else build their empire, but you haven't laid one brick for your own. You know what I mean? So I'm more or less seeing this as you taking all of this energy that you're giving to others, and not saying, because it's not selfish. It's just the simple fact that, you know, your vision, your dreams, your path is suffering because you're giving to others what you should be giving to self. Because, and I say this all the time, it's so imperative for us to take care of ourselves first and foremost. You know what I mean? Because if we don't have anything to give to ourselves, then we're not even really giving wholeheartedly to others. That's when it becomes self-sacrificial. It's like, so it's not really so much savior complex, it's a martyr complex. Thank you, Spirit. Martyr complex, where it's like, I'm sacrificing myself for the good of the all, you know, for everyone to benefit from my sacrifices and the burdens that I carry, the cross that I bear, you know what I mean? And that's not really serving you. So it's more or less you being your own CEO of your own life, internalizing your gifts and focusing them on the things that you've only been dreaming about. So more or less for me, this is saying there's a need to make yourself a priority, right? Because there is an imbalance. It's the fact that you're existing in an emotional space, you know, for yourself, but it's almost like the decisions that you're making aren't serving your higher good, in so many words. Now, what to release for your emotional well-being? We have the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh, goodness. Why do I feel like that's a person? That's interesting. Why do I feel like that's a person? That's the first thing that hit me. I'm like, it's a person. Okay. Let's go with it, since that popped up to me first. All right. With the Nine of Pentacles as a person, this would be a person who's very money minded. Now, I say you could take a page out of this person's book because this is someone who's built a foundation, right? And their outlook is going forward. It's like, what's next going forward? I've built this up. What are we doing going forward, so to speak, right? So it's like a person, what's the word I'm looking for? Very, not empowered, motivated, driven, words like that. And the energy that I'm picking up on is so weird. It's like, you know, those motivational videos that you listen to on YouTube where it's like, this is your life. You've just got one chance. What are you going to do with it, right? That's like the energy that I'm feeling for this person, right? So it's a person, if you know somebody like that, like, I don't know, they might be like a Tony Robbins or something, you know, like a beefcake person that's just like, yo, bro, like, let's talk about your 5-year plan. You know what I'm saying? So if there's a person like this in your life, especially like if it's like in a romantic sense, I feel like there may be unrequited love in the sense that this person isn't like, with this being a Pentacles card and Spirit tell me that this is a person energy. It's like they're not focused on anything but their own like achievement. So it's like this person is very money focused, very career focused. You know, they're focused on building, in so many words, right? But I'm seeing this in comparison to yourself, right? Of the energy that you need to release, because look at the difference between those two. This person is like all serene, relaxed, you know what I'm saying, in nature, you know. Let's just pretend that that's a brunette, you know, daydreaming about the future and possibilities and what could be and what not. They're all in their inner world and things, you know. Grounded nonetheless, serene nonetheless, with their little hippie clothes on. But then you got this person putting in work, you know. It's like they're focused on what's coming next. I've built a home. You know what I'm saying? I'm abundant. I'm looking at what's next, which is the 10 of Pentacles. So I feel like there's a lesson to be learned here in taking a page from this person's book. But with this being in the reverse and it being in the position of what you need to release for your emotional well-being, it's almost as if like this being a person would be a person that, like I said, taking a page out of their book. It's like being Mercury retrograde has my vocabulary just redonkulous. What is the word I'm looking for? Like an example or a role model. That's the word. Like a role model, so to speak. So it's kind of like seeing how this person maneuvers. It's like learning from that and applying that to your life, internalizing your energy towards the self so that you can propel yourself forward, because it's holding you back that you're giving what you need to move forward to others. And this person isn't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's a weird way for me to see the Nine of Pentacles, because I usually say my independent woman or independent man card. You know what I'm saying? But it's usually when we're looking at, you know, if it comes like in a person position. But with this being something to release, it's interesting for it to come up like that. And then that also suggests to me that Scorpio would be kind of showing up in the opposite of that. You know, giving it all away instead of, you know, building it up, so to speak, right? So for your own emotional well-being, it's a need to release that, because I feel like this person isn't pouring back into you the way that you're pouring back in to them, right? And another thing that I'm hearing is, if this is a person who's doing the most, this is kind of like, I feel like this may have just happened. Like, say if this is a person who's doing the most, like you doing way too much, like you're working 3-4 different jobs, you're barely sleeping. I'm seeing this Tower as a challenge to overcome is your body giving out on you. You know what I mean? It's like you pushing yourself literally to your limits. You know what I'm saying? And needing to release this unrealistic expectation that you're trying to work towards, and needing to turn within to repair the self. And for your own emotional well-being is needing to release this energy that's driving you. Because seeing this as an energy, it's the whole thing that's pushing you is not happiness, it's not fulfillment, it's not passion. It's like you're overburdening yourself and draining yourself because you're trying to get security and like stability, financial success, or any form of success. It's wanting that independence. And this is similar to what I was hearing in Libra as well, but it's like you're sacrificing your own well-being in the process, right? So after this, our how, we have the strength in reverse. Man, that's so important. That's it upright. With the strength upright, this is so funny. It's like taming the beast, right? You need to untame the beast. You know what I'm saying? It's more or less like intellectualizing yourself into a box. Because we think of our instincts, right? They're survival instincts. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the love of our hearts that puts this beast in submission so that it's not running our lives. It's more or less Scorpio has to do the reverse of that. It's like, let the monster out. You know what I'm saying? It's almost to a point that it's like you too upright and doing things a little too, in alignment and things of the sort. But I'm not necessarily feeling like telling you to go become, the dark side, evil, maniacal Scorpio. Please, God, don't do that. Please, Scorpio, do not release that beast, I know that beast. I'm your opposite sign. I know that beast. Don't let him out of the cage. None of us want to deal with that person. Okay, talking about your little human beast, not the actual abyss. Okay, we're not ready for the abyss. The abyss will suck us all in. Moving right along. But this is more or less allowing yourself to be free. If you get like being impulsive a little bit. And that's how it is that you come out of this mold that you're in, because it's like it's obligation. It's a false sense of responsibility. It's like you've sucked your life force out by becoming like a robot and just doing stuff just for the sake of doing it. And it's almost as if you've forgotten to have fun and to be a little reckless. It's totally okay to be a little reckless within reason. But again, please don't release the abyss. Your friend Princess thanks you. Okay, moving right along. What do you need to release for your spiritual well-being? We have Temperance in the reverse. Imbalance out the wazoo. This is my alchemy card, right? So this is all about, like, because I use the medieval representation of this card. So it's not just about, like, finding balance per se. It's really about the soul offering the ego into the ethereal fires of purification so that one can alchemically transform from their base energy, which would be symbolically with alchemy lead, right? Which would be the lion that's in this card in the Rider Waite, the untamed beast, right? And it being refined in the fire to be purified, to remove all of the impurities so that it becomes gold, right? Through this whole transmutation process. So the purest, highest level would be the gold, and that's what I call the golden aura, or the 12th ray, Christ consciousness in so many words, right? So the thing is, what you need to release for your well-being is your stagnation, because this process isn't happening. You know what I'm saying? It's like you've inadvertently put yourself in a box to where, I guess the best way I could put this, because the tower, another medieval view of this card, is like the house of God, right? So the story of like the Tower of Babel. So, and which brings us to religion, because like religion is man's way to God, right? And don't get freaked out because I'm using, biblical terminology. I'm using it as an allegory metaphor, you know what I'm saying? So don't get freaked out. But anyway, if you look at the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, it's like the people tried to build a tower to heaven, right? That's just like the story, and who is that? Dang it, that's sad. That's the first chapter of my book and I can't remember. Oh, Plato. And Plato's story, the Symposium. because it's the same story in Greek mythology, where it talks about how the first humans were trying to roll up Mount Olympus. You know what I'm saying? It's the same kind of concept. So it's you trying to become or connect with God or become the God of your own life, whatever way you want to look at it, by building up this tower. But it's like, that's useless, because it ends up boxing you in. It ends up keeping you farther away from what it is that you're trying to reach in the first place. So it's more or less you guys, whether this false responsibility is for others or fulfilling some type of role that benefits everyone else but yourself, it's inhibited your spiritual growth. You know what I'm saying? And this is funny because it's not really funny, but I just say this is funny a lot. But it reminds me of a conversation I was having with a few of my friends the other day, right? And we were talking about leadership roles. And, a lot of us were very, active in the church, ministers, things of the sort, right? And we were talking about the difficulty, and I can't say at all churches, but some churches, when you're in a leadership position, it's like you can't go to church and kind of cut up. You know what I'm saying? Because like, if you're a person who, is Christian or went to like Christian non-denominational churches or Pentecostal churches or whatever, and sometimes like you get a word that breaks you down and, you might fall out, cry, it's like when you're in a leadership position, you just can't do that, because if you're like, passing out, catching seizures and screaming and crying and things, it's almost as if the other like parishioners look at you as, incompetent, right? And we were saying how it's like an unspoken judgment. So I'm not saying that this is like, set in stone rule or whatever, but it's just that, people kind of look at you side-eyed, like, are you really equipped, because you're not fully healed? So it's feeling this unspoken pressure to be okay, to be non-wounded, to be 100% healed. It's like, I don't have that problem type of deal. You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you start to project that out into the universe, that it's like you're a finished product. You know what I'm saying? I have nothing else left to learn, or, just feeling, almost deluding yourself to believe that growth is not a continual process. And it is. I tell people that all the time. Growth does not stop. Healing does not stop. Like, it's not going to stop until you, transition, literally, right? So that's how we inadvertently build up this tower, and this burden that we're carrying is something that is completely inhuman. It's trying to hold up the facade. You know what I'm saying? Painting this picture, and behind it, suffering in silence. You know what I mean? It weakens you, and it stops your spiritual growth, because it's not being open. And I can't remember who that was that I don't know, was it Sagittarius? I can't remember. But I was saying, like, with it being an unteachable spirit, right? And it's not being like a jerk about it. It's just the simple fact of feeling like that's the role that you have to play. And that's something all of us were saying when we were talking. We had to admit we all fell into that. It's like feeling as if you have to, like, you can't be broken anymore. And it's like we all come in and out of that. It's just a fact of life, right? So that's something that has to be released. It's like to stop boxing yourself in, because it's halting your spiritual growth. You know what I mean? Now, our how, man, we got the death in reverse. Resurrect your pain. Resurrect your pain. I'm just kidding. I'm not saying resurrect your pain in real life. But I'm seeing this in a sense of almost bouncing back, man. It's like it's wanting this to be over. I'm good. I'm Gucci. Like, this is, that's not me anymore. I have transformed. I am now a butterfly. You know what I mean? But it's more or less this being false pressure to be finished. You know what I'm saying? Go back to hospice care for a little while longer. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to die today, because I feel like you're unbaked bread. It's almost like, and this is another thing. I don't know why all of these little downloads I've gotten over the years are like coming up right now. But it's like, okay, this is a lot of God talk. You know how people say like God is dead, right? Like, or and I know they had a movie called that too, but like God is dead. I feel like humanity killed God. the reason why things like church, God, you know, anything, Bible, that's the reason why all of these words are trigger words, right? It's because we've killed them. We've murdered them. How do we do that, you ask, right? And I said this in someone else's reading. How I perceive things is that everything in the 3D realm is a byproduct of the spiritual realm. So what's happening in the ethereal realm, that's what's reality. That's real, right? That is. Everything here is a byproduct of what is. So everything here in this realm is in the process of dying or it's already dead, right? That's it, done deal. Now, when we're looking at from a perspective of like our, how can I say it? When we're looking at this from a perspective of us stagnating ourselves and how we kill God inadvertently, is by everything that comes into this realm has to live by that universal law, so to speak. So everything here is like running on a program since, you know, the world was created, or the Big Bang Theory, whatever you believe in. But it's like it set everything into motion, and everything obeys these laws in creation, except for humanity, right? So whenever you birth something into the physical realm, it begins to slowly die, because that's what happens here. Death. It's birth and then death happens to everything and everybody, right? When we talk about these constructs like religion, right? Mindsets, whatever, we have taken something that is infinite, something that like, and meaning this as, if you want to call it Allah, God, the all universe, spirit, whatever it is you want to call it, because it's just a name. And we get so caught up into labels and names, you know what I mean? And being so touchy-feely about stuff, you know what I'm saying? But the whole thing is that we're talking about the all that is. Something that's unfathomable to even possibly comprehend in the human brain. We've taken this and personified it, brought it into this realm and literally killed it, because everything that comes here that we grasp onto and try to personify and whatnot, we kill it. Why? Because we made spirit, God, whatever word you want to use, insert your word here, right? We've taken that and now created it in our image, right? And if we look around mankind as an example, I don't know anyone who would want to be a byproduct of that, right? So it's like humanity does that with things. We hold on to it. And like I tell you guys all the time with the Four of Pentacles card, why that card to me is like the most important one, because to me it's symbolic of what happens when you step out of flow. When you try to label things and take ownership of it and, oh, it's mine, it's not yours, I have this, you don't, that whole, you know, subjugating, marginalizing based in that inherent, you know, human worthlessness and all of that stuff. It's the fact of when we start doing that, we ruin things. When we start trying to build these proverbial towers to try to place ourselves above, right? We ruin things. That's the consistent story of humanity. And it doesn't matter. You can look in the Bible, you can look in Greek mythology, you can look in any discipline, you know? And it's going to be a consistent story of seeing how our own selfishness, our desire to control and have dominion over things that are completely outside of our realm of control, is how we continuously destroy the world, each other, ourselves, by stagnating like the Four of Pentacles. Mine. I don't want to let this go. I want to have ownership of this. But the moment that you do that, you're stepping out of flow with spirit, right? And you start to die. You know what I'm saying? What this is saying, resurrect. Don't die. Resurrect. You know? It's like, go back to what you see not being, what it is that has dominion over your life. Go back to the realm of the unseen, the truth. You know what I mean? And there isn't like saying the truth, but I mean all truths. Because I even see myself here giving so many disclaimers. It makes it so hard for us to even communicate because it's the need to fit into this box to please everyone. And I think there's so many YouTubers that deal with that. There's so many, not even just YouTubers, I mean people in humanity. It's just we're living in a super sensitive time where everything is extremely offensive to the point that it silences people because you can't win for losing because you're always saying stuff wrong. And that's on both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? Whether it be in spirituality and, oh my gosh, you're using Christian terms, I don't believe in that. Or if you're in Christianity and you use a spiritual term, or God forbid somebody finds out that you watch tarot videos. It's like, that's evil, that's demonic, label. That's not me, that's over here. Let me subjugate that, marginalize that, that's bad. I'm better because I'm not that. You know what I mean? And that's me saying this on a micro scale of seeing how in institutions and society, how we're living under this energy that's self-defeating and is literally killing us all in the process, proverbially speaking. It's killing our souls. It's killing our freedom of choice, of thought, of being, authenticity. Because this to me on a micro level are the social constraints, the limitations, the glass ceilings that are put on all of us that's telling us who and how we need to be, right? And how we internalize that and start to replicate it in our individual lives. How we really internalize it and start doing it within the self. You know what I mean? And we can look at it and say, well, you know, this is projected into this person's reality because it begins with us. But then at the same time, if you look at it even deeper, God created man, creating God. So just like Scorpio is the abyss, and the longer that you stare into the abyss, it begins to stare into you. And I was told to stop there. I had a finishing thing there. Spirit told me to stop there. So it's something that's going to spring up in you from hearing that. Putting that all together. And it doesn't require you to think about it. Don't jump into your cognition and start to intellectualize it and pick it apart. Allow that answer to come up. So it's going back to, again, that feminine energy, that receptivity of not trying to grasp at it, label it. What is this? Let me figure it out. Allow the high priestess to reveal it to you. Right? That got extra deep. So what you're making room for, what a weird transition is that? What you're making room for, we have the Hierophant in reverse. This to me, surrender submission. Not to a person or an institution, but it's like in order to truly be free, it's like, what is that? Is that a quote? This is a very spiritual reading, Scorpio. I don't know what y'all going through, Lord Jesus. Those who are, it's something about when you humble yourself. It's those who are humble that will be raised up or something like that, or people who humble themselves are the ones who, I don't know, like someone puts them in power, but it's the people who seek power who will be humbled or something along those lines. To me, this is surrender to spirit. That was the card that I was saying. I think I saw that in Sagittarius's reading, and I was seeing it as that, you know, the unteachable spirit. But with this being in the what you're making room for position, how I'm seeing this is you're making room for your surrender so you can fully embody yourself. Because when we're speaking in a you know, spiritual sense, it's like the true path is one that's counterintuitive to the intellect. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the key behind this whole toxic masculinity epidemic, because it's not just men who exhibit toxic masculinity. Females do, because that's how our society is constructed, on action, achievement, domination, conquer, mine, you know? And men and women both partake in that. But the key is, like with the Hierophant, that's again another shot caller. You know? It's like, this is what it is. Let me tell you, let me teach you, let me show you because I know. Right? This is doing the opposite of that. You're making room for surrender. But now the thing is like, how could I possibly humble myself? How could I possibly do nothing and accomplish everything, right? Because it's you taking a seat in the real power. Your real power does not exist in this external world. It's all about what it is that you're embodying from within. So you can have tons of money, tons of accolades. You can shake a lot of hands, network all day long. But the key is if your inner foundation is weakened, that's always what's going to show through. So it's making room to humble oneself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that in like, oh, bow down to people. I mean this in a very spiritual sense. I may have to go into that later of what I mean by, you know, humility, not false humility or false piety. But I want to believe that you guys know exactly what it is that I'm saying. You know? I feel like in your spirit, you know exactly what I'm saying. So, how we do this? The 10 of Pentacles. Oh my gosh. Do nothing and accomplish everything. Sitting in your inner power. Here's the deal. Oh my gosh. I love when things wrap up like this, dog. Scorpio, this is going to be an amazing month for you. I can tell you now. What you guys are about to experience, Spirit is taking you guys on a journey of how you really get stuff done through a lot, like receptivity through the divine feminine energy, and how you can execute that through the divine masculine, how the two of them balance each other out, right? Because like I said, with these two initial energies, this is the divine feminine energy. It's that, you know, inner focused, dreamy, you know, intuitive, receptivity. Then we got action, go-getter, conqueror type of person. But it's like Spirit is showing you, and this has been a lot, marriage of heart and mind, marriage of divine masculine and divine feminine. It's like Spirit is going to give Scorpio, and who better to teach this to than freaking Scorpio, because Scorpio is a whole beast out here, you understand me? Their level of depth is on a whole nother level, okay? So Spirit is going to literally teach you guys how to truly manifest, how to truly transform in the proper way. In the proper way. Not in it being an external action to fulfill an internal desire. It's like Spirit is going to show you how to do both at the same time. And how you do it, and I can say this from experience because it blew my mind when Spirit first revealed it to me, is very counterintuitive to what every single thing that the physical world tells you how you accomplish success, how you are successful, how you gain power, how you empower yourself. It is the complete opposite. Very counterintuitive. It seems like it makes absolutely no sense. When you're walking in alignment with Spirit, to a person who's not, what you're doing is ass backwards, stupid, crazy. What could you possibly be doing that for? That's not going to work. That's what you think. But tell them, Scorpio, say you going to learn today. Haha. This is beautiful. I love this. I don't know what's been going on with these readings, dog, but this stuff has been getting so deep, from Capricorn being like a whole mental health public service announcement. Y'all's is like, I don't even know what you would call this. The, you know, collective existential crisis. You know what I'm saying? Humanity, man. So interesting. Oh, but you guys got the emu. This is a good time to go on a new adventure. Are you guys about to go on a new adventure? And you're going to go on an adventure where you don't even have to leave your house. Protection. Call back your power. Cut the cord. Soul retrieval. When I said humanity, the first thing that came to my mind was that humanity needs to reattune with the collective soul. humanity has lost its soul. Humanity at large. You know, we've spent so much time in the, you know, getting that we've forgotten to replenish ourselves. So it's like each and every one of us has been being energy vamped by each other, and it's a vicious cycle. But Scorpios are going to be a huge change agent in that being reversed. Next, you have get grounded. Empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. Got some balance going on here. But yeah, man, that's like how I talked about that attachment and that leech. That's what that is. But the thing is realizing how your power has been stolen and how you've been a willing participant in that. Whoa. I cannot believe how deep this got, yo. And like I say, with a lot of people, it's been dropping out of your mental space into your heart space. For you guys, it's no different, but it's just for different reasons. It's like, this is like a spiritual revolution that's happening with Scorpio during this month and going into this retrograde. It's like y'all are about to have a major epiphany, life-altering wake-up call in the best kind of way. Because it's like suddenly you're going to see it. It's like red pill, blue pill. You know what I'm saying? And when y'all like open your eyes to everything that's happening, it's going to be like, yo, I felt this. I didn't know what that was. Oh my gosh, that's what that is type of deal. So this is super, super deep. But it's like marrying it into a sense of balance. Because I feel like it's a spiritual intent. You know, your intentions are good, but it's just the methods need to be changed, you know? But you're going to be able to do less and accomplish everything, you know? Masculinity became toxic for a reason. And I say people even hear that wrong. It's like, oh, you know, they're trying to remove masculine men. No, they're not. It's this whole dominating, I don't care about you, you know, get it how you live, you know, dog eat dog world self-preservation crap that's going on. It's the fact that compassion has been completely sucked out of humanity. That's what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? That's what toxic masculinity really means. But it's like people are so fixated on this external realm that you would jump to conclusions and think that someone is like, oh, you're trying to take this away and force this upon me. See that same energy I was talking about, like with the touchiness? It's like, oh, well, I don't believe in that. And, oh, well, I find that offensive. You know what I'm saying? It's that same energy. And all of that is constricting, sucking people's souls out individually and collectively. Spirit, you better give them a card. Scorpio probably like it. Princess, don't stop lecturing us. I know y'all like it. First card says, every human thought and every human action is based in either love or fear. Oh, what better card to get? There is no other human motivation, and all other ideas are but derivatives of these two. They are simply different versions, different twists on the same thing. It's the two places that we're acting from. We in a whole lot of fear these days. There is nothing scary about life if you are not attached to results. Man. I love these cards. Well, that has been your reading, Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed it. But I will see you guys sooner than later. Deuces.
Energy, about to get in and fuck up the industry.